That is stellar. I love that. We're going to see that again. That is great.
Who's Stella? That's Rachel Zegler.
Oh, that is brilliant. Well, if you didn't know, ladies and gents, the next flop on the theatrical release window is Hunger Games. Yeah, it's not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. Not looking good at all. Not a surprise, though, but pretty bad. So, according to estimates, the new Hunger Games will open at the box office as the lowest of the franchise with a similar opening to that with the Marvels, around $47 million, which is very bad when you compare the previous movies took $100 million, $152 million, $158 million, 121.8, and then 102.6. And that is a significant time span ago. So adjusted for inflation, this is terrible as an opening weekend.
It's also
Now,
tremendously interesting, but I'll get back to that. I heard you weren't finished, so...
Yeah, no. So, well, it's also got an awful Rotten Tomatoes score, which will compare like for like. So, again, 2012's original Hunger Games, 84% compared with this one's 59, then 90%, then 70%, then 70%. So, abysmal. The only thing it's got going for it is it had a relatively small budget of about $100 million. Now, we can't actually put a figure on that. I don't know where this figure's come from. There's nothing officially released. If it is $100 million, they've done very well of putting that on screen, because on screen it looks significantly more expensive. I'm going to say that's probably not right.
Yeah.
It looks much more money than $100 million. But stranger things have happened. And it's not like they've got big name talent where they're having to pay a significant amount of money for people's wages. So it may be that it was around that number, but I struggle to believe it, and I don't know where that figure's come from. But let's just say that is correct. It's $100 million. And then they've spent, $50 million on marketing, because they haven't spent much on marketing this film. This film still needs to make over $300 million to break even. And you know what? At this rate, it's probably not going to do that. Even if it's $100 million, it's probably going to be more. So this will be another in a string of massive flops for Rachel Zegler, who has starred in nothing but flops. Her films are all flops. Every single one has lost money for the studio. But, Andre, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I've made this point before, because to me, it's very, very interesting what's going to happen with this movie, because the original was a young adult film, and the young adult genre was big when the original came out a little more than a decade ago. That was kind of like the prime of all things young adult, right? So the target audience were tweens of the early to mid 10s, right? The target audience for that movie are now in their late 20s on average, mid to late 20s to early 30s. That's the age of the target audience that went and made those movies such big hits. Now, are they still nostalgic about the Hunger Games, or have they long since moved on and couldn't care less about the franchise? That to me was interesting, because my theory was that that thing left no cultural footprint, and there's very little nostalgia for it, even among those that grew up with it. But that was just a theory of mine. I had no evidence to back that up either way. What we have here is some level of evidence. If this thing really opens to only 40 million, which, how much would that be if we compare with the first one that in 2012 opened to 150 million? How much would that be in 2023 dollars? Close to 200 million?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so that means if we bulk that up, we are now comparing something that opened to close to two, so to say 180 million then, to something that now opens to 40 million. What that means is that the vast, overwhelming majority of the audience are gone. Those that went to see the originals have no nostalgia for this because they're not interested
They've
in
also
these
kind of aged out,
Andre.
Andre, if you think
Yeah,
about it.
well, that exactly. But who has aged into it? It
Nobody.
was a fad at the
It wasn't
time.
like Harry Potter, right? Like it
No,
didn't gain
exactly.
any
Yeah.
momentum.
The entire young adult genre was a fad. It's the kind of thing you're going to age out of. And at the same time, it is so specific to that period that there's no one that's going to age into it. So you don't have any fresh supply of new audiences.
I actually have a
And
good
that's
comparison.
yeah, and that's kind of like what we're seeing right now. The people that made this a hit in 2012 to 2017, whenever the original movies were, they're not coming back for this for the most
Yeah.
part, and they haven't been
Mm.
replenished by any new generations either. Hence these numbers. Tom, what was your comparison?
Well, it kind of reminds me, you got to think of Harry Potter like Ninja Turtles. It was like when you had all these young adult novels, every studio was trying to make one of those after Harry Potter hit it big. But like Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles had all these copycats, right? So, you know, like the Maze Runner, the Hunger Games, all these other young adult novels did not hold on to the footprint they had like Harry Potter did. Harry Potter was the only one that sustained an audience and gained an audience as it moved on. Kind of like Ninja Turtles did, but like Biker Mice from Mars and all the other copycats, they're street sharks. Who gives a fuck about them no more, right? Like nobody even cares
Mate.
about half of them or heard about them.
Well.
I know you
speak
love
for
your
yourself.
street sharks, Mr. H, but I
No,
had to throw
Biker
that
Mice
in there.
from Mars. I don't care about Street Sharks. Biker Mice from Mars, though.
Yeah, but does anybody but you know who they are? Like really?
Show of
Let's be
hands.
real.
Show of hands in the chat. Who cares about Biker Mice from Mars? Come on, guys. In the
Anyway,
chat.
point being is you had a bunch of ripoffs and wannabes, right? And you know, for
No, you
every
are right.
Divergent and you know all these other things, like nobody cares about the Hunger Games anymore. And this is going to turn out worse than the speaking of Harry Potter, worse than the prequels to those, because that's what this is. Who cares, right? Those lasted 2.5 movies, and the interest was in the cast in those. I don't see any interesting cast members in this. Peter Dinklage, maybe? I don't know.
I don't think anyone cares about him now, anyway.
I
basically.
don't
No.
think that. I mean, he's not even that big in the dwarf community, and that's a very small community.
Oh,
Puns intended there.
wow. Swinging big swings. Look, the film, because I went and looked it up, Andre, because that's what I do. The film opened in 2012 to 152 opening weekend, 152 million. And that in today's dollars is 203.6 million.
Oh, so it's even worse. So basically,
Yeah.
this one is coming in at 40 million for something that used to open to 200 million. So basically, that means it's coming in at what, 20% of the budget thereabouts, or 20% of the original opening weekend, meaning 80% of the audience is gone.
Well, and here's the strangest thing.
80% of the audience is gone.
Production costs, though, Andre, and this is the thing. Production costs have only gone up on these films across the entire board. The first film was only 80 million to make. Then it was 130 million to make the second one, 125 million to make the third one, although that's arguable. And then the part two, or the fourth film, was 160 million dollars. Now, they've also had a steep decline after the second movie on their opening weekend. They went down to 121, and then the part four, or the second part of the third movie, was 102 million on its opening weekend. So it had a steady decline in total box office earnings. So this thing became popular on video after the first film, and then it went downhill progressively from the second film on across the board. But the production costs escalated. You're not telling me that this film was $100 million. I don't believe you.
It's Deadline that said that, apparently.
Yeah, I don't believe them.
I don't believe that either. I don't know where they're getting it from.
Yeah, it's probably from Nia DaCosta, who doesn't know how to tell you what a budget of her film is. So who knows? That was a joke.
Doesn't know.
Oops, and take the lid off.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't understand Deadline saying it cost around $100 million. Nah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not believing that. Not believing that at all. Well, anyway, it's going to bomb. It's a sign of the box office, just in general these days. In terms of the trajectory of Hollywood, I wonder, will they learn?
No.
Will they learn this gynocentric focus on films? Will they learn?
Ooh, that's fancy. Gynocentric.
That's true.
Science.
Come on now, you know I've got my vocabulary out.
I know. The
What do we
rest of
think,
us are
Andre?
just.
Will they learn? Oh, Andre's dead.
Andre's dead.
Will they
Andre
learn?
is back.
Carter?
So my internet
there
just
we go.
glitched for a second there. What did you say?
I said, will they learn with this gynocentric focus of Hollywood?
I think, you know what? I think they will learn, but the problem is that it's going to take years before they have the opportunity to do so. Because now we're going to have a lot of gynocentric flops in a short order. And that is going to change the green lighting decisions starting from right now. I mean, whatever female gynocentric team-up movie was being pitched this week and next week and the week after that ordinarily would have gotten a yes and a green light if they had been pitched before. They're going to be shut down and cancelled right now. And also many things that may be in development, but that were delayed because of the strike and stuff, they'll never carry on. And yeah, stuff that haven't been greenlit, but that's being pitched right now, they might as well not even show up to the pitch meetings because the answer is going to be no regardless. But there's still 2-3 years worth of things in various stages of production that is still coming. Some things are so far along that they can't be shut down, so they will be coming out. Case in point, like the Madam Web, it's going to come out no matter what because Sony, they can't afford not to release it. They've invested too much money in it not to release it. So it's going to come out and it's going to bomb, and it's going to just further the message that this is not what the audience wants, and the audience is done with this. And it's also going to lead to some confusion after Barbie, because I'm sure that after Barbie, and maybe here the strikes would have helped them out a little bit, because after Barbie, that is when they normally would have greenlit a ton of more female-centric projects. The only reason that may not have happened is because they were on strikes. There couldn't be like any pictures or anything like that, right? That may have bailed them out. Because all the messages of Barbie, that's forgotten right now. That's completely forgotten. This thing right here, if all of Marvel, that's going to be far more impactful. We're going to see right away. Barbie was a fluke. Now, I hope that many will remember that Barbie was successful, not because it was all about girl power, but because it was an actual girl brand, rather than a male brand being repurposed into a girl brand. Because that's what these flops are. If they're smart enough to remember that, they may have a chance. But we'll be seeing a ton less female-centric movies 2-3 years from now.
We better, because this is Garbaggio. And if you notice, they don't have this girl. J-Law is not in this movie. It is not a thing. And the lady they have in this film,
she's not going to get naked then.
No. If you want to see that, no hard feelings. Yeah.
I like that movie.
I'm sure there was no hard feelings in the audience when they saw her naked, to be honest.
No, I think they were fine with it. But honestly, she is not there.
You didn't get it. That was an erection joke. For goodness sake.
Of course I got it. I just moved along. I mean,
what?
Kind of low-hanging fruits there.
You're nuts.
Well, I will give her credit. Like, I mean, granted, everyone had seen her naked already because of like the fappening picture.
Everyone's seen Rachel Zegler naked as well.
Oh yeah.
God. Anyway,
well, There's a difference though between the topless pictures that is out of her there and the ones of Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, how's night and day difference?
Well, I
Ah,
don't know. I didn't
no
look at
wise-
Jennifer Lawrence. Anyway,
No,
let's
no, I suppose.
let's shuffle on because I know Tom, you actually need to leave, don't you, buddy? So.